The quickest way to travel in Minecraft is using an elytra. Another reasonably fast way is using a boat on an ice path. However, the elytra is so much more practical that I kinda just forgot about the boats. Till today, in this episode I'm going to build a boat racing course. And because I'm building the world's tallest Minecraft base, I will build it in the sky. I start with the main ice path. The trick is I want to get as many straight lines as possible because that's where you gain speed. So I make a few curves and I also add a bubble elevator to gain height. This way I can make the path a little bit longer. Next I fill in the sections that go through the tower as tunnels. And once this is done I add some decoration. Here I add a statue of a knight, and because I'm not good at building statues, I copied one directly from a Reddit user called Ufage. But it turned out fine. Next I continue with the mud brick buildings from last episode. I built them all around to the other side of the tower and then add other buildings in a similar style but with different materials. Lastly, I fill in the gap covering the other two tunnels between the tower and the rainbow path. The side of my base now looks pretty good, but once I look up I only see the blank ice. Here and also down here and in all the other parts with the ice track extending outside of the tower, like here. So in the next step of the building process I want to cover that up, and for that I have already some ideas. For the bottom of the ice paths I have 4 different themes. First basalt, secondly gold and lights, thirdly rainbow, and lastly moss and leaves. Now I go to the top of the tower and start with decorating it. First I go for a race theme, then I add an angel statue because there was a comment which requested to build angel and demon wings, so I did this kinda half-half statue. If you have any suggestions what I can add to the tower, then please feel free to leave a comment. The angel statue stands on a cloud, and I then continue this cloud theme with the building next to it. These are some quartz buildings that imitate a palace sitting on clouds. I think I will call it the Cloud Palace in the book where I write in everything I build. On the other side I built a large window with 2 tall columns, and besides it I placed 2 cypress trees. In the corner I then place a pagoda. The trick here is that it has to arch across the ice path to expand the tower a little bit outwards. That's always the hard part at building these buildings. And in the end I place several lanterns to make it glow up at night. Now I add a little bit of a castle themed part to the side of it, and you probably have noticed by now that that little bit of decorating turned into a lot of building and decorating, but that's what you are here for. Now all that's left to do is actually test out the boat racing course. Okay, that didn't work out that well. I expected something else. Good, now attempt number 2. No, I fell down again. Okay, attempt number 3. Okay, I'll take this curve a little bit more narrow now. Yes. I try to get a little bit slower, so it... Okay, here I have to go fast because of the trap with the ice blocks. So now I can take this curve. I'm really bad this time. A rainbow tunnel, and well, yeah, sadly in this course there aren't really many straight paths because there just isn't enough space. Like 30 blocks on ice, it feels like nothing. Okay, let's check the time. I got a time of 64 seconds. There's a lot of room to improvement. And if you want to try it, you can do so by downloading the map. It's in the description. Next thing that needs to be done is filling in the interior. There's a lot of room which I left by building it down here above the storage room. That's from last episode. And then up here, this is from this episode, with the ice path around it. And the question is, what can I build to actually fill up that much space? And I think I have an idea. So a lot of YouTube creators have built Minecraft museums where they start collecting blocks or items, and I want to do something like that as well. But unlike them, where I sort in the blocks by categories, I will do something else. The problem with sorting in the blocks by categories is that it essentially isn't completed. If a new update is added, I would have to completely redo a certain room. For example, if a new type of stone is added, I have to redo the room for stone. So my idea is to go, instead of by category of blocks, to go by updates. I start with the oldest Minecraft version, build a room for that, where I show off everything that is new in that version, then I continue all the way to the present version 1.19. And I'm aware that I won't be able to do that all today in this episode, but I will start in this episode and then finish at some point once I've built enough space and then filled all that space with different museum rooms. Okay, let's start with the oldest episode. I start with the pre-in-dev stuff, when the game was basically not really a game but just placing blocks. There were only the most simple of blocks, basically the blocks the world is made of, somehow also sponge, and also different versions of wool, although they were called cloth at the time and there was no real way to get them because it wasn't really a game, there was no crafting, it was just creative mode or something the likes of that. And of course they were trees. They were trees from the beginning. So this is now our exhibition for the pre-in-dev blocks. There were no items in the game at that point either. And also no real game mechanics. And lastly, I want to place a pathway here to go into the next room where I will then continue with the next version. In the next room I have two more versions. First, in-dev 0.31. That update introduced fire. Don't worry, I put fire spread off because otherwise my garden would burn down every time lightning strikes. And it also introduced crafting, diamond ore, and some basic tools and items. The next version, Minecraft in-dev, introduced on one hand paintings, then the day-night cycle, which I symbolized here with the circle with the glazed magenta terracotta. And it also introduced farming and smelting. There are also some basic items and some armor. One armor set is missing, and I will show you how to get that now. I am now in the Nether with my villagers, because the armorer villager has a chance of trading the chainmail armor set. Now I can complete the collection with the chainmail armor. I also noticed that I forgot a few blocks. First, the in-dev 0.31 version also added coal, I forgot that. And the pre-in-dev version also has two more blocks which I didn't add. That is on one hand the obsidian block and on the other hand the block of iron. It's now a little bit cramped, sadly. And because the remaining rooms didn't have any rare blocks and it would be boring to watch me spend an hour going through my storage room to collect the right items and blocks, I did everything off camera. So we continue from the in-dev era to another version which is coincidentally also called in-dev. But this was released at the beginning of 2010 and at one hand it expanded the world, which I have shown here with the arrows. So it was no longer of limited size, it was basically not endless of course, Minecraft World isn't endless, but it was no longer just a small island. And it also added the doors, the stairs, the Was the ladder and the rails. Next version added redstone and expanded caves. It also added the slime ball. Then we have here Alpha 1.0. It made a lot of technical changes, but it also added cacti, fences, allowed us to use lava and furnaces, and added the compass. Then we have... did I miss a version? Let me check that for a moment. I didn't miss a version, that one is just named wrongly, it should be Alpha 1.1. Okay, Alpha 1.2 added the nether and fishing. From Alpha 1.2 we go to version Beta 1.0. The only new thing are eggs, and you might think, why is that such a difference between Alpha and Beta? So there were a lot of technical changes, and the only new thing which I can represent in the game is the egg. We continue with Beta 1.1, adding leaf decay and music discs. Then we have Beta 1.2 with new 3 versions, with sugarcane, lapis lazuli, cake, note blocks, dispenser, and all the colors. At that point you could also color the wool in different colors, and it was no longer an item that was just in the game but unusable. Beta 1.3 added the repeater, slabs and beds. Beta 1.4 added cookies, also dogs, but I don't represent the mobs here. Beta 1.5 added the day-night... Okay, I have a problem. I placed a sapling here because they added saplings, and then I made this small symbol for the weather cycle, but apparently the tree has grown and I have to remove it. Anyway, we continue. Beta 1.6 added these small decorative blocks as well as maps. Beta 1.7 added the pistons and shears, and lastly we have Beta 1.8, a bigger update. It added the stronghold with all the different brick variants. It added villages, it added the melon, it added the mushrooms, different kinds of food. It added the food system into the game, that was a big thing as well. It added the ender pearl, also the enderman as a mob. It added glass, it added villages and vines. So it's a pretty big update, but the next update is even bigger. That's the main release of the game 1.0, and it's not here because I will build it in the next episode. So thank everyone for watching, have a beautiful time, and goodbye.